C-L-E, we ride.
Dog pound pride in the sky.
Let's go.
Lock in, lights up, game face on. It's the Hogcast, baby, bring it on.
It's the Cleveland Hogcast Sports Show.
Yeah.
Blue collar blood, that's how we go.
Let's go.
Every city, every team, we won't smoke. If you ain't built like this, you might choke. It's the Cleveland Hogcast Sports Show.
Say what?
Hard hits, hot takes, let it roll.
Let it roll.
From the first whistle to the last blow. Cleveland Hogcast, welcome to the show. Hey!
Well, good afternoon, Cleveland sports fans. As you can see, I have a guest in the studio today. Well, not in the studio, you know, in a virtual studio.
Right.
I got my friend, Dr. Charlie Jordan, Dr. C.J. Ritz, Charlie Jordan, whatever other stuff you want to throw in there. He's from Dallas, from the Dallas market. He loves his Cowboys.
Yes.
At least I'm assuming he loves his Cowboys.
Of course.
And
It's a love-hate relationship.
Yeah,
Let
well-
me just put it that way.
I think we all know about that here too.
Right.
Welcome, Charlie. Good to
Hey.
see you, my friend.
Thanks for having me, my brother.
You are more than welcome. It's good to have you on here. It's been a hot minute.
Yep. It's been a few clicks, yeah.
Charlie and I spent some time together doing some other things, not sports related, since 2020, that whole debacle since 2020. But
Yeah.
hey, we're allowed to focus on some fun stuff now. We're allowed to have some brotherly time outside of the political arena, which kind of brings us to why we're here today. You know, Charlie had sent me something, and I thought it was a good subject for today, and it does directly relate to sports. The idea that the NBA wants to change their logo from the Jerry West silhouette to one that's inspired by LeBron James, and that's created quite the, pardon my French, shitstorm.
Yeah.
Uh,
It sure has.
So we're going to talk about a little bit about the cancel culture and how the woke mob has influenced sports, and we'll probably start with that. But I want to start with, as you know, I like my songs, so I'm going to start with this song real quick, and then we're going to dive into it, and then totally unscripted. So don't expect anything specific. We're just going to have fun. So let me put this up here. Do. And yes, I hum when I do stuff. So, all right, folks. Here we go. Enjoy.
Woo! Yeah.
Crowds in the stands, but they watching the show. Score tied up, but the slogan's 4-0. Coach call plays, now hashtag coach. New rule of the league.
Get woke, go broke.
Get woke, go broke, that's the brand new play. Got Jersey say justice, but the fans walked away. You can kneel, you can preach, you can post, you can quote, but the ratings hit the floor like
Get woke, go broke.
Get woke, go broke, watch the cash flow choke. Turn the game to a lecture, now the punchline's the coach. You can trend, you can spin, you can hashtag hope. Still the scoreboard screaming, get woke, go broke. Yeah, used to argue stats, now they argue your soul. Skip the pick and roll for a think PC goal. Every time out, another speech, another note. Commentator crying like, here's tonight's vote. Mascot reading memos, got a clipboard too. Cheer squad chanting slogans like a campus crew. Ref those flags for problematic smoke. 15-yard penalty for an off-color joke. Oops. Halftime show used to be drum lines banging, now it's TED Talk TED and a slideshow hanging. Got charts, got graphs on your privilege growth. Meanwhile, concession stand got tumbleweed toast.
Get woke, go broke.
That's the brand new play. Got Jersey say justice, but the fans walked away. You can kneel, you can preach, you can post, you can quote, but the ratings hit the floor like get woke, go broke. Get woke, go broke. Watch the cash flow choke. Turn the game to a lecture, now the punchline's the coach. You can trend, you can spin, you can hashtag hope. Still the scoreboard screaming, get woke, go broke. Draft day drama, what's your stance on this? Forget 40-yard dash, can you virtue flex? Scout with a clipboard, checking tweets from June. Sorry kid, you were 12, but that meme's not in tune. On the wrong camera with the serious face says we stand for the cause while he sells more space. New ad campaign with a violent note. Streaming app scratch from the refund vote. Announcers whisper, can we say his name? PR in the ear, head like rephrase that frame. Athletes just tired, they just wanna play ball. But the mobs in the DMs writing rules for them all. You can't miss, can't smile, can't drink, can't smoke, can't think, can't joke, can't trip, can't choke. Every slip, every quip on a screenshot. Oh. Everybody's on trial in a trench coat, vote guilty. They don't boo, they brave, they don't cheer, they cope. They don't clap, they cancel while they scrolling for hope. But a ticket's still a ticket, and the crowd said no. Empty seats, spell it out. Get woke, go broke. Get woke, go broke. That's the brand new play. Got jerseys say justice, but the fans walked away. You can kneel, you can preach, you can post, you can quote, but the ratings hit the floor like get woke, go broke. Get woke, go broke. Watch the cash flow choke. Turn the game to election. Now the punchline's the coach. You can trend, you can spin, you can hashtag hope. Still the scoreboard screaming get woke, go broke. Get woke. Sermons in a game day coat. Now the stands fill the slogan. Get woke, go broke.
I love it.
There you go. There's the song for today. Perfectly describes the mood.
That's right.
Thank you, AI. So we'll start with the NBA. We'll start with this whole logo thing, and I don't know when it all started or how it all started or how it even creeped in the sports in general, but since 2020, I got a nice little stat I'll show here shortly, but since 2020, coincidentally, since that certain election that we have a little bit of question on, it's ramped up. It's ramped up and it's right out in the forefront, and it's visible for everybody to see and everybody experience. And some people don't care. They just watch their teams regardless, and don't really have an opinion on it. And if they do, they don't voice it.
You're right.
And I'm of the school that, and you know me, I'm not about clicks. I'm not about followers. I'm not about likes. I am who I am. I think it's BS, and I don't like it. And I'm pretty sure you don't either.
No, I don't like it at all. And you said when, as far as the NBA, I think that the slide began to happen when they start forming these super teams. I miss the days of old. I miss the Isaiah Thomas that had the badly sprained ankle and he wouldn't come out of the game.
Right.
I mean, he's limping up and down the court and still dropping threes and driving and shaking and baking people with a badly sprained ankle. I miss the days of the Pistons, the bad boys. I miss those days when Larry Bird could talk trash to anybody on the court. It didn't matter. I love that Larry Bird would say, "Hey, why you guys got this white guy guarding me? You guys, that's disrespectful to me." See, I like that attitude. I like that Larry Bird wanted to play against the best, not be on the best.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and those guys, Michael Jordan. See, I miss those days. I believe the slide actually started when the first super team that was put together, and I believe it was the Celtics with Pierce, Garnett, and Allen. When that started, that Super Three got together, and then they said, "Oh man, that's a good idea." The next Super Three was LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. And then all of a sudden, it was not the best playing against the best. The best wanted to join teams together or, be together so that they can be the best as a team. But it's, to me, man, that's when the slide began.
Yeah, and that's funny you should say that. Because that was in Miami. I'm thinking of Cleveland when LeBron was here, and that's kind of a misnomer, Cleveland and super team. But he had his cast. He had Kyrie Irving, and he had some others.
Yeah, because that was a team that they put together. Right. That was a great team.
And I think that was kind of the idea with the Lakers too, around that same time, right after that, when Kobe was still around, and look at San Antonio and look at Dallas at the time too.
Right.
Those were two really stacked teams. The
Right.
Houston Rockets, and at one point you had when Sean Kemp was playing over in Seattle, he had maybe it was like the late '90s or whatever, that this all kind of with the super team idea with getting, and it kind of brought about that mentality of how are we going to bring more money to the league? How are we going to get more views on television? How are we going to sell more merchandise? And that's one way to do it. Create a super team, and then it's not really. I don't know how much the owners were involved in is like conceptually with that idea.
Uh-huh.
If it was more of like because of the way the league was going. That's kind of how it was like. You had
I actually
do that.
think it was the, more so the league, because it actually really got bad in the uh in the new millennium. I remember when the Mavericks, man, in 2006, when they lost that championship against the Heat, it was of course Wade and Shaq, and then they had a good supporting cast there. And but I still think that was pretty much okay. I'm talking about when they start forming, the big three, and it just started happening when the Celtics did it, then Miami did it, because remember, it was LeBron had a chance to re-sign with Cleveland, but he
Right.
chose, and they put on this whole spectacle on ESPN. Where is LeBron going to go? I mean, they make this big thing out of it, I'm like, why are they doing this, And then LeBron said, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach, Miami. And I was like, oh, man,
I, I,
you know?
and speaking of ESPN, it's not that I don't hate the people working there or disrespect them or whatever, but ever since ESPN started getting popular, getting to be a thing, like to me right now, I can't even watch half the shows on ESPN
I don't.
because they are just to the same subject we're talking about. Is that they're pushing narratives all the time, and the people they have as hosts on a lot of these shows are very opinionated and biased to a lot of
Mhm.
certain things. And every once in a while, you'll get something that's an outlier, like a Stephen. What's his face? Why can't I think of his name now?
Oh, you talking about
Stephen Smith.
Mr. Motormouth. Yeah.
Sometimes he'll say some things out of script that are actually true and believable and to the point, and he gets backlash, of course. Anybody that speaks out and speaks the truth or has an opinion about
That's what I
something makes
like
common
about it, man.
sense.
At least he's shooting from the hip, man. I
Yeah,
mean, he speaks his mind. That's what I like about Stephen A. Smith. Yeah.
yeah. I don't agree with everything he says, but I'm glad that he's around, to kind of stir the pot and to make sure to kind of keep people honest. And same with
Mhm.
like the Pat McAfee show. Pat McAfee will do the same thing, and
Same thing. Right.
he'll have guests on. Like when, and this really irritates me. It's like since 1980, like the U.S. hockey team won gold. It's like they're heroes, and all these other woke whatever are saying no. It's tainted because they went to the White House. They hung out with President Trump, and like so no, they aligned themselves with the wrong whatever it is. So we're not. It's not a legit gold, and they're has-beens or whatever.
Mhm.
And so Pat McAfee has him on the show, and or has oh, I can't think of his name. The guy that scored the winning goal,
Hughes.
Jack Hughes or whatever his
Yeah.
name is.
Right.
And it was pleasant to watch because he appreciated the fact and the gravity and the history behind everything that happened, and he thanked him at the end of the segment for representing America, for representing, our values, our, hopes, our whatever. And
Mhm.
um, so I'm starting to see more of that, which is thankful. But like I said, the whole ESPN thing, I just wish there was another sports network. You know how since 2020 we've evolved some other non-mainstream or non-legacy news outlets that help,
Mhm.
you know, speak common sense and speak truth. It'd be nice if there was another sports network that was just as prevalent. Yeah, maybe there is, I don't know, but it seems to be always ESPN. So
Yeah, well, they're the big one right now. Yes.
to me, they had a big part in that, and outlets like that had a big part in that whole creating that culture. And
Mhm.
you're talking about super teams and that kind of thing, and then the idea that LeBron's going to Miami, he's going south where it's warmer or whatever. They take that and they run with it and they love it and they make all the fans love it. Like that's the best decision. That's you're gonna love this Miami Heat super team, and here's why. And don't look at the other angles. It's just how it hurts Cleveland or how it whatever how it affects
Mhm.
the league in that conference and so many things. I mean, look at all the runs that some of these teams had over the 90s and 2000s,
Mhm.
almost like dynasties for 10 years.
Yeah, yeah, man. And you know what was so sweet that after that they formed that super team there in Miami, and it was the following season, you know, that they came up against an older but more experienced and a very well coached Dallas Mavericks, and
Yes.
everybody picked the Heat to go straight through and win the championship. I remember that first game, game one in the NBA Finals that year, 2011, when the Heat won that first game. You know, everyone was saying, "Man, Mavericks, you had a good run, but you're gonna lose again." And then game two, in the fourth quarter with a little less than 6 minutes left, the Heat goes up by 15 points. Everybody say, "Yep, it's over with."
It's over. Yeah.
But the Mavericks came back and they won that game, and they changed the whole trajectory of that whole series. Now, of course, the Heat wins one game on a great shot by Bosch, but after that, man, the Mavericks just outplayed the Knicks. I mean, not the Knicks, the Heat, and just outplayed them, man. And so that was sweet to see that they tried to form. To try to form some, because you said dynasty. That's what they was trying to form. They
Right.
wanted another dynasty, and then the Mavericks just uprooted that, man. It was beautiful.
I'm not sure how salary caps and stuff like that work in the NBA. I'm not going to claim that I know that because I don't. I know how they work in the NFL, and I don't know how they work in the Major League Baseball. But it seems like in Major League Baseball, the organization with the most money usually wins.
No, man, the Dodgers, I can't stand them.
Yeah, but I was going back to that same era. Look at how much the New York Yankees were spending around that time.
Oh, yes.
And speaking of super teams, with the Jeter era there and all the pitchers they would snag from other teams, and so they had a dominant bullpen, they had dominant starting pitchers, and then
They had a hitting lineup that was
yeah,
like,
like you couldn't walk anybody because the next person was just going to hit it out of the park. Or
yeah,
whatever.
it was ridiculous, man. Yeah.
And but to what you were saying with Dallas and Miami, there was a time there where people started seeing that doesn't matter how much money you spend, it really is the coaching and it really is the mindset of the players and the strategy. Because there was a lot of teams that took out the Yankees late in the season or in the playoffs, and so the Yankees super team would not go to the World Series, and it was it was fun to watch
Oh,
because
I loved it.
especially here in Cleveland, it was just they especially from the 95 through 97 seasons, and when Cleveland was in the World Series with Atlanta over they ran over Boston, which was a team at the time that was predicted to go, and then they ran over the Yankees, and it's like, oh, and then they win the American League, and it's everybody's like, how the hell what the heck, man? How did Cleveland? And I'm telling you, right before that, the movie Major League had come out.
Right.
It was funny because it was almost the same script, almost exactly the same script, but in real life. It was having, lived through it. It was an amazing time. But going back to the whole cancel culture thing, one thing I just want to note, because as I said, since 2020, and this is where it's ramped up, and all of this, what I'm going to say has all happened in 2020 when all this crap started going down. So, like, on July 3rd in 2020, the Washington Redskins announced that they're basically, from pressure from their sponsors, from Nike, FedEx, Pepsi, and amid the George Floyd protests, the accusations of cultural insensitivity. So the name was retired on July 13th of 2020, and it was temporarily became the Washington Football Team, then rebranded the Commanders as we know it today. That was in 2020, August 26th of 2020. So you had the Milwaukee Bucks led boycott. You had some actually in the major league. You had some games postponed. The WNBA and the MLS. Blah blah blah. Then you had the Jacob Blake police shooting. Yada yada yada. But anyway, so on December 13th of 2020, my Indians announced they changed their name because of criticism of Native American stereotypes, blah, blah, blah. So they removed Chief Wahoo in 2018. And then in 2021, they became the Guardians, which totally sucks. But anyway.
I know, man. I know. And then, Native Americans, they don't have a problem.
No, I was going to say, I have a letter that somebody had sent to the ownership of the league and the Indians at the time. And from the local tribe or whatever that Chief Wahoo was from, that was kind of modeled after, or whatever, basically saying, WTF, what are you guys doing, man? This is like, we're proud of this. Why are you removing our part of history here? Why are you, you're going to listen to 4 people crying, sitting in the fetal position because everything is totally offensive to them, and so you're going to change your logo and you're going to change whatever. Basically, without saying in so many words, I'm going to use the word retard. I don't use that a lot, but they kind of implied that these guys were retarded. And
yeah.
So then in June of 2020, you had the CrossFit CEO, Greg Glassman. He faced backlash for controversial tweets and statements relating to George Floyd, COVID-19, blah, blah, blah. So he had to resign in June 9th of 2020 after all his affiliates and sponsors like Reebok pulled out and blah, blah, blah. So they were using their influence to get rid of some of these people because they had an opinion on something that they didn't like. And then in June of 2020, again, notice the similarity here, all in 2020, the Edmonton Eskimos of the Canadian Football League, or whatever it's called, CFL, began reviewing their name amid pressure over its perceived insensitivity to the Inuit communities. They played as the Edmonton football team in 2020 before officially becoming the Edmonton Elks in 2021. I'm surprised we haven't heard from the Elks yet. So anyway. But there's always this willingness to cave, even if you believe different, and you're, I'm sure team owners are probably handcuffed a little bit when they agree to buy a team or agree to start a team or whatever. I'm sure there's like a 700-page contract they got to sign with all this, fine print of, play ball, or you're going to lose your franchise, or whatever the case is. I mean, look at NFL end zones since 2020. Look at all the stuff that they print on the backs of their jersey, or their backs of their helmets, and but guys wearing cleats that are different color or whatever, and supporting a charity or supporting somebody that was injured or whatever, they get fined.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
It's ridiculous. I'm speaking of like the changing of the names of some of these teams. Like whenever I refer to Washington, I can't call them the Commanders.
Yeah, every time I hear Commanders, I think of the whole LGBTQ stuff. I always think of the Commanders. So I can't actually say in my head, I can't think Commanders. Like I can't say Washington Commanders because I always, for whatever crazy reason, I have that in the back of my head. And
Man, they in my vernacular, they are the Washington Redskins, the Cleveland Indians.
Yeah, I still, all my jerseys, everything I have, everything, even stuff behind me, it's all Chief Wahoo and it's all the old Indian stuff. And it'll always be that way to me.
Yep.
And
That's why I love this song that you started with. Go if you go woke, you go broke. Because look, especially the NBA, they are suffering right now.
big time, big time. People don't realize what kind of straits the NBA's in right now.
Yeah.
Financial straits, and among other things. But I mean, it's just I can't wrap my head around, especially being a team owner, because this is all business. Everything's a business, and it's all a product. You're selling a product. Why would you do something to hinder your ability to sell that product just to promote a message? And because it's only hurting you. I mean, if everybody's allowed to have an opinion, I'm not saying nobody should have an opinion and believe whatever they want to believe. I'm just saying sports, professional sports that you're getting paid to play and we're paying to go see, is not the place to put your political message or to put your whatever stance that you have, just because you think it's going to get in front of a lot of people and you have the responsibility or whatever. No, you have the responsibility to get a first down. You have a responsibility to get on first base. You have a responsibility to strike somebody out. We're not. You guys didn't get that money out of thin air. We're paying for it. The owner's saying he's paying for it or whatever, but that money is still coming from us. Season ticket sales, watching television, now everything, especially the NBA. It's like they want to put all these different games on all these different platforms, and you have to pay for these streaming platforms.
I know
to be
that's
able to see
another thing.
games.
Yeah.
It's like if I want to watch a game on this day, well, no, it's on Peacock or it's on ESPN2 or it's on whatever. It's on NFL Network or it's on whatever. And it's like, and all these subscriptions are like 10 to 15 to 20 bucks a month. And so as a fan, you're kind of getting disenfranchised.
Right.
Because now you've got like $100 worth of streaming service costs if you want to watch whatever games that you want to watch. And then that opens up a whole new can of worms, because kids and whoever, they're going to get creative and they're going to watch them anyway, whether it's illegally or otherwise, on however, so
Yeah. They figured out a way, man, to hack in and watch those games anyway. Yeah.
And to me, that's the dumbest move you can make, is hurting your product. And as the NBA or the NFL or not so much Major League Baseball, but the NBA especially,
Yeah.
it's, why are you damaging your brand? Like cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Yeah.
Just shut up and just let people watch basketball. Let players play. Just stop. Look at the whole debacle with the whole Colin Kaepernick thing and Nike. And it's like every media outlet, without exception, blamed everybody else except where the problem was. Like it was because of racist this, or it was racist that. You guys are just bigots, or you guys are whatever, he's Colin's a
He had the nerve to try to think about this, Johnny. They was trying to compare him. He's a modern day Muhammad Ali, because of Ali's stance on being drafted going to Vietnam. And and I was like, that's an insult to Muhammad Ali. It's a huge insult, because it's nowhere close to that. It was nowhere close to that. And that just sums up, like, I love that song, man. I love the song. I mean, it fits what we're talking about. You go woke, you go broke, because all of this have led to where we are now. We started out talking about the logo. They want to change the NBA logo, and they want to put LeBron James. But why do they want to put LeBron James?
That's Michael Jordan. I mean, it's like there's so many other people that came before LeBron James. I know LeBron James is like a modern whatever, but there's plenty of other players you can pick that probably had just as much influence, like Kobe Bryant or whoever. I mean, there's a bunch of players.
God, it's just LeBron is great. LeBron is he's a great player. There's no doubt about it. But did he change the NBA? Did he do something that elevated the NBA? No. But what about players that did?
Right.
Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, the list, Michael Jordan.
Right.
I mean, you can just go on just with those four names alone. They changed the game. They elevated the game. LeBron is, in my opinion, is downgrading the game.
Speaking of which, Charlie and I were talking before the show, and at a show in the near future here, I have something, a little tribute to Mr. James, and it's there's also a song involved, but it, short story, long, it's flop artist. We'll say that. So
And look, guys, I'm not hating on LeBron. Like I said, LeBron is a rare talent, man. The guy is like, he's phenomenal.
yeah,
You
there's
you
no
can
questioning his basketball skill and the
Yeah,
way he plays.
he's a beast. There's no doubt about it. But it's just the mentality now, the whole woke mentality, and everything that has happened to the NBA. The game has changed, man. The perimeter game is no longer there. Banging and fighting it out in the paint, it's no longer there. You can't hardly do that. You can't put a forearm on anybody. I mean, the game has just changed, and people are not watching.
Yeah, because they see it's fake, and people
Yeah.
don't want fake; they want real. And that's, to your point earlier, what we were talking about: being able to get a couple bruises and a couple scratches or something, and not cry about it, and just
Yeah.
because it's a physical game, or it was a physical game. People muscling each other out. You got a 6'5", 7 foot, whatever, against some guy that's like 6 foot tall, and this dude's like 400 pounds, and this one's 200 pounds, and it's trying to drive the lane on him, and it just looked like David and Goliath, and just get
I know.
swatted down.
Do
That's
you
what's
remember?
missing from the game. I mean, it's
Right.
that physical, just street ball, like you'd play on the courts outside somewhere, like on
Right.
the pavement where you grew up. I mean, that
Like,
you weren't crying and saying, "Hey, foul, foul, foul," or whatever. He touched my whatever. He's like, he scratched me, he grazed me,
right.
whatever. And it's like, just be lucky you didn't get your face thrown down on the concrete or whatever.
Yeah, like in New York and Brooklyn, they call it blacktop, man. You played in Brooklyn, and they call it blacktop. Man, we're going to black. I mean, they bumped and grind. Do you remember when Kobe tore his Achilles, and he wouldn't come out of the game because they fouled him and he tore his Achilles? He came back out with torn Achilles on his right foot. I believe it was his right foot, and he sinked both of those free throws, and he walked off the court. They didn't carry him in a wheelchair. They didn't put him on a stretcher, on a
Right.
gurney. He walked off the court. That was the NBA.
And now look at the NFL too. I mean, it's almost an unrecognizable game from when I grew up watching it on television.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to use the Steelers as an example, even though I'm not supposed to like the Steelers. But anyway, back in the day, like the steel curtain, like with all, you don't even want to see those guys on the street any given day, let alone on a football field. These guys, what the heck was his name? But he had like teeth knocked out. He had whatever, and he had one of these dudes had his leg amputated and whatever. I mean, these guys, like,
they were raw, man.
they didn't have, barely had any shoulder pads or any pads on them at all. And if you went over the middle field to try and catch a pass and that safety was there, you were probably going to be. They didn't have blue tents back then, so
Right.
you're going to be on the sideline talking to your three coaches and trying to talk to the one in the middle.
Right.
And I could see, I'm all for player safety. I'm all for, but there's a certain degree of finesse that you have to have, because football in its nature is a violent sport. And these guys know that when they're in high school, they know it when they're in college, and they know it when they want to get drafted in the NFL. They know it's a brutal game. It's supposed to be a physical, tough game. And now you have on like weekends, like Super Bowl and all these other like especially in prime time, you've got, oh, how am I going to put it? If you notice, there's this rise in flag football,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and again, not saying anything against it. I don't mind what flag football at all, but it's the idea that you can compete without physically tackling somebody or physically whatever. Because if you notice, they're promoting that a lot. They started with women's flag football. Now they've got flag football leagues all over the place forming, and as long as it's kept as its own thing and not no crossover whatever with players and that kind of stuff, I think it's a good thing. But I just feel like it's going hand in hand with the, again, pardon my French, the pussification of the NFL.
Right.
And these guys are getting ridiculous amounts of money, and it's almost like they'd rather be wearing a suit or some kind of whatever and not really looking like players. They look like superstars. They look like
Right.
it's an image, it's a brand, and they don't want to hurt their brand. And like, I'll use some modern wide receivers. I'll use Odell Beckham Jr. for example. The dude is skilled. He is an amazing football player. But some of the off-field stuff and some of the stuff in the locker room, sideline, whatever, the diva mentality, whatever, it's like, what are you doing for me, not what I can do for you kind of mentality.
Right.
Give me some more money and we'll talk about it, or whatever. It's that whole entitlement. And look at, even with college players now, look at how many millions of dollars some of these college kids are making in college. In college, they're not even in the pros. So you're seeing like 5 and 6 year seniors now that are making $1 million. And they don't want to go to the NFL yet,
No.
because they're afraid they might make less money or they might not even get drafted.
Yeah, it's a joke, man. We miss the Jerry Rices and the Lynn Swans and the Drew Pearsons, those guys that played with grit and passion, not coming against the modern day receivers. I like CeeDee Lamb. I like these guys nowadays, but you brought up a good point, because the guys of yesterday, they weren't concerned about how well they dress. They weren't concerned about the outward extracurricular stuff. They wanted to play football,
Right.
and they geared toward playing football at a very high level. That was number one for these guys. One of the greatest receivers, man, Jerry Rice, man, he set a precedent, man. I mean, and
He's set the bar so high.
yeah, his bar so high is incredible. And you never saw or heard of controversy surrounding this guy.
Right.
And Jerry Rice would say, I'm not the fastest one out there on the field. No. And he knew that. So he conditioned himself with the gifts that he knew that he had to put him above the one that was faster than he was. I
Right.
mean, the guy was just amazing to me.
Yeah, they had, I don't know when it was a few years ago, but they did like a special on Jerry Rice and his work ethic. And
Yeah.
the work ethic on this guy was, nobody to my knowledge had at that time a work ethic like he did. I mean, the dude was up at the crack of dawn and he was like running and doing all kinds of stuff and running up. I think he lived in California. He was running up the hill and stuff and doing whatever, doing drills. And like, that's what he slept. And he did that all the time. And he worked with people in the off season that were great coaches. And he sought these people out and he spent his time with these people, like receivers, coaches, quarterback coaches, whatever. And he just kept trying to improve his game, just trying to get, like you said, more physically. So if somebody was faster than him, he was a better route runner.
Yeah.
You couldn't match him stride for stride because he was always juking and doing whatever. And
Yeah.
he ran really precise routes. like Joe Montana knew exactly, like you could start throwing to a spot as opposed to where the player was. Like you knew Jerry Rice was going to be in that spot.
He was going to get there.
Like even before even as he's breaking the line of scrimmage, running down the field, the ball's already in the air because he already knows where he's going to be, and he knows he's going to beat his guy, and he knows he's going to, that's the kind of football I miss. And
Yep.
the days of like, I don't know if you remember Terrell Davis.
I remember him. Yeah.
Terrell Davis was a beast.
He was a beast, man. Now he had a jerk mentality, but the guy was
He was an
amazing player.
amazing runner.
Yeah.
Terrell Davis was one of my favorite players. Then you had players like that whole era. I call it the Bernie era, the 84 season, like when you had Bernie Kosar came out. You had what's his name from Buffalo? Jim Kelly.
Yeah, Jim Kelly, yeah.
And Dan Marino and just a bunch of people. And same with the receivers. They had like Andre Reed from Buffalo was like the
John Elway. You got people
John
like that.
Elway.
Right?
There you go. That's
Yeah.
trying to think of his name for some reason.
Yeah.
But the whole like there was no given Sunday where you just thought somebody was going to roll over somebody because all these teams were so good at just the players were good at their positions. They knew their positions and they knew the game plan, and it was fun to watch. It was like a chess match. There weren't like usually there weren't huge blowouts against these teams. So like if Denver played Miami or whatever, it usually wasn't a huge blowout, and vice versa.
And also, do you remember that it was open season on quarterbacks? Nowadays, man, you can't even hardly touch them.
Right? Yeah, I
It
mean,
was open season on quarterbacks, man.
and you look at the games the way they're called, how announcers like, especially previous quarterbacks like Tony Romo and Troy Aikman. When they're talking about a quarterback standing in the pocket and taking a hit, knowing they're going to take a hit, it's like it's a special circumstance. It's like this, like, it's not the norm. So it's almost like they over commentate about, oh yeah, he got, he knew he was going to get hit and blah, blah, blah. And he gets hit, but they don't get leveled. It's not like he's on his back or whatever, somebody just tried, like they couldn't. Like they have the ability to stop. Like they don't just keep running through the quarterback.
Right.
You see them, they all, like they, it's like, can't touch him. He's got like barbed wire on him or something. It's like, oh, yeah.
And granted, guys, today's talent is next level. Is no doubt. The game is faster. The guys are, more athletic. And so I get it. The head injuries, the things that they discovered with concussions. People were probably playing, and the bell had been rung, and they just didn't know it. And later on, it caused some issues. So I understand that, and I get it. But it's I think it's like, Johnny, come on, man, kick off in the NFL now. They said that.
Landing zone. I never thought I'd hear that phrase in a football game. He missed the landing zone.
And then, if you want to kick an onside kick, you got to let the other team know.
Right. Yeah. Where it used to be a strategy. Now it's like, now it's just like,
come on, man. That's how New
Orleans
Orleans
to try to stop us. We're going to do it because we have to tell you we're going to do it. It's like,
right.
Whatever. And now they're talking, which I think this is actually a good rule. And they're talking like the field goes over 60 yards are worth 44 points as opposed to 3 points.
Yeah, because I like that.
To me,
I didn't know that.
You
but I
can
like
kick a
that.
60-yard field goal or 60-plus yard field goal. I would say that that would be worth 4 points to me. I mean, so look at modern kickers. It's not uncommon for some of these young guys to be able to kick 60-yard field goals.
I mean, Dallas got a kid, man. What's his name? I can't think of his name now. Oh man, if my daughter was here now, you and I, we was talking about my daughter earlier before we came on here, and we adopted her when she was 7 years old from China. She couldn't speak English, speaking 100% Mandarin, had never seen a football, never seen a baseball. I mean, she knew nothing about sports, especially American sports. Now, Johnny, she could tell you the stats on every player. She could tell you the name, everything. I mean, I went out to dinner with her.
Brandon Aubrey.
Just
There you go.
Brendan Aubrey. There you go. Yeah. And we were out having dinner yesterday, and we started talking football. She started talking about the NBA draft, the upcoming draft. And man, she started talking about the combine, Dad. Look, this is what's happening in the combine. She started talking about the guy that just broke the record, ran a 4.26 or whatever it was. And I said, what? And she's just lying. Now, I think that he's going to go.
Her on the show.
Joe, I'm telling you. We should. If she wasn't at school right now, I'll set her down, and she will blow your mind on what she knows about this game. I mean, it's incredible. You know.
Does she actually enjoy the game too?
Oh man, yeah. That's her favorite game now. Football. Cool. Yeah. That's her thing.
I enjoy that when I see a younger generation taking that much interest in something, especially sports. And I know
she's now I don't mean to cut you off, but she's still kind of biased because one day I posed a question to her and then my grandkids, my grandsons, because they're into football now, and I say, okay, guys, you guys name your top 5 quarterbacks. I ain't gonna ask you to name the quarterbacks of yesterday because you don't know them. But name your top 5. And every one of my 3 grandsons, of course, they had Brady, they had Aaron, they had Lamar Jackson, they had Joe Cool, and Tom Brady. Jade had all of them except for Tom Brady. She said Patrick Mahomes, and then she said, I said, okay, number 5, you got to name somebody, and she said, well, Patrick is number 1 and number 2. And I said, oh my God, you're so biased. She's a Patrick Mahomes freak. But it was so funny she didn't pick Brady. And I said, why didn't you pick Brady? I don't know. I said, don't you say he's overrated. No, he's not overrated. I just think he gets too much attention. And I said, well, that's the same thing.
Right.
I just thought it was so funny. But she's not a Brady fan.
There's, Brady's one of those polarizing players. People love him or hate him. I mean, there's hardly anybody in between. And she's picked some good ones there. I mean,
oh yeah, she picked them, and she had Mahomes as a number 1. Number 2 was Lamar Jackson, and then number 3 was Joe Cool, and then Aaron Rodgers. I was shocked that she actually picked Aaron.
Well, shows that she knows her quarterbacks. I mean,
yeah,
he is. He's kind of in his twilight years, and he's kind of, as Art Modell said about Bernie Kosar, he had diminishing skills, whatever. But he's still, like we were talking about, having influence on a league. He had an influence on the NFL. I mean, he was overshadowed by Brett Favre.
Yeah,
because he was sitting on the sideline while Brett Favre was kind of winding down and whatever. And then it's almost like, as a league, I'm sure the Packers fans didn't forget, but as a league, it's like you almost forgot Brett Favre, and all you remember is Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron, man, he's a beast, man. He's definitely. Someone's knocking on the door.
Sounds like security's on alert.
Yeah, someone's knocking on the door.
But as far as like the future holds, I really feel like we might see some changes with, especially, I mean, how long has like Roger Goodell been the commissioner of the NFL? I mean, Jesus, like, let's get some fresh blood in there. Let's get some fresh ideas. Let's get something going, and stop with all this DEI crap that they got going on with the Rooney Rule and all this other stuff. And I'm not saying the Rooney Rule's bad, but when you have an organization, I'll just use the Browns as an example, like they literally had to schedule interviews with a couple more people.
Yeah, keep talking. I'm going to mute my mic while the dog.
Well, you're fine. After they've already pretty much knew who they were going to hire for this particular position. And to me, that's kind of insensitive or very, you're not only you're wasting somebody else's time knowing that you're not going to hire them anyway, and you're wasting your time and resources. They're wasting their time and resources
Right.
just to have that meeting that because you need to fulfill a rule, or you need to fulfill a quota or whatever. And it goes back to the whole, people should be able to hire who they think the best person is for the job, regardless of
Right.
color or whatever. And but it's still presented like there's a huge issue with, not enough minority coaches, or not enough minority women. And like, that was another thing that came up. Like, we need more women coaches, or women in like assistant coaches, or
Yeah.
whatever, and that kind of thing. That's like, to me, like, that's still, you're still being racist, because you're still telling people what they need to do, and you
Right.
need to think a certain way, and you need to whatever. If somebody's a good coach, or somebody just stands out, nobody's going to stop themselves from hiring somebody, regardless of their race or color or whatever. They're going to hire that person because man, I need that guy, or I need that girl, or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah.
It's self-evident, it's not like anyway, that's a whole different thing, but it still ties in with the future of all these leagues, especially the
Yeah.
NBA and the NFL. And the NBA's commissioner, he is, hate to say this, but man, he looks like John Podesta. But anyway,
It's man, the NBA is really, I mean, we started out talking about them because I mean they have definitely gone woke, and they are tanking, and so they're desperately trying to pull themselves out of it. Like, I want to talk about something that was a heartbreaker. As much as Cleveland was upset about LeBron going to Miami, think about Luka Doncic being traded at night without no one in the league knew that this was going to happen. I mean, we had general managers stating, "Man, if we would have known that Luka was on the trade block,
right,
man, we would have gave 3 or 4 of our best players, or we would have at least gave you 3 or 4 first-round picks. We would have gave you anything that you asked for to get that player."
right,
But they didn't let anybody know. Guys, without a doubt, this was not only the new ownership of the Mavericks, but it was the league, because they knew that the Lakers, they were in a position to be in the cellar for 3 or 4 years.
right,
LeBron was getting old. They didn't have any young talent that was coming up. And so they had to do something. And we here in Dallas, without a doubt, we knew that the new ownership, they are casino owners, right?
right,
And they wanted a casino in this area, in the state of Texas, and especially the city council of Dallas said, nope, not going to have that here. So they were upset about that. And then the league was upset because they're losing money. Ratings are just in the tank.
right.
And the Lakers, who they think will be the team that will revitalize the league, especially with the Celtics. The year before this trade, the Celtics beat the Mavericks in the NBA Finals. And then so they gut the Mavericks, send him to Los Angeles, thinking that, hey, we can get this Laker Celtics thing happening that happened back in the past.
Right.
Man, that'll boost ratings. People will get more involved into the NBA. It tanked. And the Celtics, of course, didn't make it to the finals that year. But man, I believe without a doubt, and you could talk to any Mavericks fan, they would say the same thing that I'm saying right now. That whole thing was a combination of the league and the ownership, along with the Lakers, to rob and gut the Mavericks so that they can try to put the Lakers back on top and then try to save the league. And if you look at the standings now, the Lakers are pretty much back into the game
Right.
because of that one player, Luka Doncic. He's an amazing talent.
And
They
look
gutted the
look at how
Mavericks, man.
LeBron's treating him too.
Yeah, yeah.
He's treated him like his whatever. I mean, I I've seen videos from on TikTok and other platforms where they're walking down a tunnel getting ready for the game, and LeBron's giving them the look. Like,
Yeah.
who the hell's this guy? Like, who's he think he is? Like his crown's not secure. Like he's like, you know. And I saw an interview with him, not LeBron, Luca.
Luca.
He kind of, without saying it in as many words, that he's just like staying in his lane, basically,
He is.
and
He is.
doing what he's supposed to be doing, and all the sideline looks when they're sitting on the bench or in the chairs over the sideline when they're out of the game, and LeBron giving them the death stare and all this other stuff. He's like, yeah, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Come on. Think about it, man. We get AD, Anthony Davis, who is a good player, but he's injury prone. All right. And that's all that we get. And just look at that trade. And the Mavericks, the only thing that we get is AD, and then we get a first round pick in 2029.
Yeah, so it's not even an immediate hit. It's like, yeah, it's gonna be down the road.
But then check this out. Okay, but you know what we're gonna do for you Mavericks fans, and we're gonna do for your franchise? We're gonna throw you a bone. You were just in the NBA Finals the year before, but don't worry about that, because we're going to make sure that you not only be a part of the lottery, but you will win the lottery pick. And that way you can get Cooper Flag. That whole thing was orchestrated, guys.
Oh yeah, I mean,
The whole thing was orchestrated. I love Cooper Flag. Now, Cooper Flag is the future. The kid is phenomenal.
yeah,
I mean, this kid is playing basketball like LeBron did when he was in his young age. Maybe in some areas, maybe a little maybe a little bit better. Man, LeBron, when he was 19, 20, man, LeBron was a beast, man. You can't take nothing from that, from his game.
right.
But Cooper Flag, man, he's a good player, but come on, man. They throw the Mavericks a big bone by first putting us in the lottery. 'Cause that's cheating the Wizards and teams that was on the bottom that legitimately on the bottom. They got shafted.
Yeah.
It's bad, man.
And people say, oh no, that doesn't happen. It's not a thing. Blah blah
Come on,
blah.
man.
Like, especially the last couple of years, it's well documented the cheating that goes on in professional sports.
It's bad,
It's
man.
getting called out and found out big time, especially the last couple of years, like I said. And if it's happening that way, these backroom deals, these whatever league friendly deals or whatever, that shit's happening.
Oh yeah,
It's
happening.
not like a conspiracy theory or what. It's happening, and some sports may be different than others. Like the NBA is probably a little more prolific in that kind of, in this environment right now, especially with
Mhm.
the commissioner that's there. The NFL is to some extent that way. I mean, as far as like the refs and that kind of thing, and who knows what's going on, but I just think it's more prevalent in the NBA, and it's going to come to a head here shortly, and
Yeah.
they're going to lose their league or they're going to lose their fan base, and it's just not, I don't know, because I always kind of look at the tea leaves with other things. I use football as an example. Like when football starts getting backwards on itself and it starts doing crap like that,
Mhm.
when leagues like the UFL, like the United Football League and XFL, when those gain interest, like people seem to like, oh hey, this is like an alternative that I can maybe relate to, or I can grasp, because the XFL was like, it promoted itself as being more of a a hard nosed back to old school
Right,
football,
right.
and then the UFL. I think has a legit chance to be a good league. There's not a whole lot of teams. I think there's 12 teams or whatever, but
Yeah.
they have a consistent following, me being one of them. And like Columbus here in Ohio just got a team, the Columbus Aviators, and Ted Gidd Jr. is the coach of that team. And there's a lot of hype around. There's a lot of people talking about it. There's a lot of people interested in the videos and the
Mhm.
workouts and the whatever. And so I could see if they start adding teams and cities start getting interested, or people that have money want to own a football team start jumping into that league, the UFL, as opposed to, maybe we'll have another situation like the old AFL, uh, when, like back in the early 60s and earlier, and maybe you'll have some leagues combined, whatever. But
Right.
I think there's a desire for it. There's a hunger for the old school football game, and the more they do to push it. I mean, look at this. I don't even, that's gonna be a whole nother show, but look at the Super Bowl, the whole Bad Bunny crap. Look
Oh
at
my God, yes.
the choice of artists to represent the National Football League at the Super Bowl.
That's a 2-hour conversation, man.
I mean, like, come on, man.
Right.
Seriously. What
Yeah.
it's like, anyway, it is what it is, and you guys can think what you want and believe what you want, whatever. We're not trying to make you believe anything you don't want to believe, or try to tell you something you don't want to hear, but we're both just, of the school, just say it like it is. People like it, great.
Yeah.
People don't, whatever. We're not into the whole clicks and views and whatever. It's just
I think,
talking.
I think true sports fans that really love the games, whether if it's multiple games, or like true baseball fans, like a true baseball novice, a not novice. I mean, a true baseball fan that loves the game, love how the game it started, and just love the game, the realness of the game. Do you remember in baseball when they first started doing the shift? They started shifting defensive positions on the field. Well, the old schoolers were saying, "Well, you're making it first and foremost on hitters. You see, that a guy he comes up and he's hitting left-handed, so that most of his hits are gonna go."
Yeah, most
You know,
people pull hitters. There's very
Yeah,
few hitters that are gonna hit away from them like that with power or anything else.
yeah,
There's a few that are, but like the mentality is like, hey, this guy most of the time is gonna pull. So since he's
yeah.
a hitter, we're gonna shift right.
We're gonna shift right, and we're gonna stop everything that he hits. That's hurting that hitter stat. I mean, it's the old schoolers along with me. Oh man, come on, man, that's bad. You need to play shortstop. A shortstop has no business being on the other side of second base, and then the second baseman is halfway out in right field.
Right. Yep.
I mean, it was crazy, man. It was crazy. And so I'm glad that the MLB, they said, we're gonna cut this back a little bit. We ain't gonna allow this shift to take place like it was doing. And I like that they did that, because what it was doing, it was hurting the game. People was like, oh man, this is no fun anymore.
Right.
It's not fun anymore.
Well, they introduced also they tried it last spring training, and they're introducing it this year, is the ABS, the auto ball strike. So it's done by AI or computer, whatever.
Mhm.
So the same cameras that normally would see the strike zone are, like, each team has 2 challenges now. So
Yeah.
so if they think pitch was called wrong or whatever, they can challenge it.
Yeah.
And then to me, I did a show on it a couple days ago, but to me, I think accuracy and accountability is a good thing in baseball, especially with all the cheating being found in sports, especially like the NBA and stuff.
Any baseball
If you get
fans
an
out there?
umpire or something like that, that's just like doesn't like the pitcher, doesn't like the team, and I mean, look at how many close games there were. Just like one pitch or 2 pitches in a game would have changed
Right.
the game.
Would have changed the whole trajectory of the game. Yeah.
And here's
I
the
get it,
beauty of
man.
it too, is like, so if it was a bad pitch and you challenge it and you win, you don't lose your challenge.
Yeah, you don't lose it.
So
I mean, come on, man. I mean, some of those, especially, man, in games that really count, especially when you get in the postseason.
yep.
You get in the postseason, man. Those umpires, man, they need to be like the worst umpire that I've ever seen, and I'm glad they made him resign. It was Angel Hernandez. This guy was terrible. I don't know how he got the job.
Well, going to what I was going to say, going to the point I was going to make was that I saw a video. I don't know if it was on one of the Indians Cactus League games last week, but this umpire made 3 wrong calls in the same inning. Like they were all bad calls. I don't know if it was the same batter or just that inning, but I think it was the same batter. Like there were 3 bad calls all in the same inning. And they wouldn't have they would have got away with it under normal circumstances. And so I think it's a good thing. So if you challenge something and you know it's a bad pitch and you win, good. You still have those 2 challenges left. But it keeps people from making bad challenges just because they want to slow the game down or they want to they just don't like whatever. So you're at least if you make the wrong call, you're losing that challenge too. So but
I think that's a good
pretty
thing.
obvious.
I like that. I like that.
Each batter has his own strike zone. Like it's not like a fixed spot over the plate. It's based on the batter. And I like that because I don't know. People are complaining that maybe it'll slow the game down and blah, blah, blah. And the stats show that it doesn't slow the game down because people, when they already had taken the pitchers, they sped up the game because they didn't want the pitchers.
Yeah, man, they got the pitch clock now, which sped up the game.
So things are evolving, and it seems like in the majors, the baseball anyway, it seems like it's for the better.
Seems like it, yeah.
Although they're talking like they're going to get rid of the tush push and all this other crap, and it's like, really, that just keeps adding to the whole physicalness of the sport. We got to get rid of the tush push. We can't have you getting first downs because people are pushing you from behind or whatever. It's like, you know what? If you get a first down that way, great. I mean, if you can't stop somebody from getting a first down that way, change your line, change the way you go, whatever. I don't know, but the whole tush push thing is stupid, and they're focusing on the wrong stuff. Like they're just focusing on things to focus on stuff because they don't have anything else left to focus on.
Yeah, they need to focus on the gambling. That's what's happening.
Yeah, there's people throwing games.
They throwing games, man. Man, we live in a different society. There's no doubt about it. We live in a different society, man. Now you got Vegas involved. That's a whole nother subject too.
Right, yeah. Yeah, when you got the odds makers, the people that are really making the money,
You're
you
right.
got to cover the spread or you got to do whatever, so, and you have a video of so-and-so at a frat party with some naked whatever, and
Right.
hey, you can call down to the sideline or something. It's like, you gotta flub that kick, or you gotta do whatever, you gotta drop that pass. Or I honestly thought Jerry Jeudy was on that this last year, not this year, but because he was dropping balls left and right, and like he'd catch some balls and it almost looked like he would purposely throw it up in the air, like it just kind of whoops, like hot potato. And
like Brendan Aubrey, speaking of placement kickers, in a game that they were playing, my son plays fantasy football, and he needed. The Cowboys drove down. There's only minutes left in the game, maybe even seconds. It was under the 2-minute warning, and the Cowboys had a shot of going in and scoring a touchdown or kicking a field goal. So they had a field goal. This is Brandon Aubrey, the guy that he's hitting 65-yarders, man, in warm-ups. He's just nailing, placement kicking. He's just kicking the heck out of the ball. And the point spread in Vegas was 5. Okay. The Cowboys, was up by 5. Okay, but they had another chance to score again.
right,
All right. And they kick a field goal. It's a 30-some yard field goal. And he slices it to the right. And Sean was like, oh man, I needed that, man, for my fantasy league. And all of a sudden, his phone started blowing up because everyone else had the same, and was wanted him to make that, that 3 points. And Sean said, look at my phone, Dad. Everybody said, check the spread. and the spread in Vegas was 5.
Right.
He blew that kick because of that point spread,
Yeah.
because that would have put it past 5. And so he blew the kick. And as a matter of fact, why were you kicking the field goal anyway?
Right.
I mean, the game is almost over, I mean, it was ridiculous, man. It was ridiculous. And so, but you can't prove that, or at least
No.
I don't know how to prove it.
People are
but-
smart though, and they see that.
Yeah.
And it's like they keep it in the back of their head, like, and you wonder why all these, like, suddenly, especially the last 3 or 4 years, how popular these betting apps are.
Yeah.
They're pushing them on commercials and everything else, the Super Bowl, whatever. Like, you got all these sports channels are sponsored by these betting apps, and it's like, it
It's
is what it
ridiculous.
is. They're not doing it to not make money.
That's right.
Yeah, spend $5, you'll get $500 or $300 in bets, or if you win the bet or whatever, and then
Right.
all these little incentives to keep throwing your money away. But anyway, it is what it is. I know I say that a lot, but well, Mr. Charlie, I think we can wrap it here. We can actually do a whole nother show on some of the other stuff we're talking about.
Hey, man, we need to do another show. We need to, because
You're
there's so
you're
much we
welcome
can
on
talk about.
anytime you want. I'll let you know what my schedule is, and you're more than welcome to hop on anytime. So,
Great. This is great, man.
but I
It's good to
appreciate
talk sports.
having you on. It's good to see you. It's been, like I said, a hot minute. I
Yep.
really enjoy the conversation.
Me too, brother.
So for all of you out there in Cleveland and in Dallas, not that anybody in Dallas is going to be watching this, but I'll throw Charlie's information in the section below, and if you want to follow his content, by all means, I'm sure he would appreciate it. And I mean, if you have any ideas or any comments about this show, put those in there too. Like I said,
I would love to see some comments. I'd love to see what people think. Yeah.
we're not censors. We're not gonna, even if you disagree with us, we're not gonna get mad that you posted a comment. It's no big deal. We like the interaction. So there you go. All right, guys. I hope you had a wonderful day. I hope this finds you in a good place, and I hope you learned something, or I hope you at least enjoyed some of it. And until next time, what am I going to say? I always say the same thing, and I'm like, what do I want to say? Anyway, until next time, don't get caught in a cheating scandal. There you go.
There you go.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
See you guys later.
Cleveland in the building, you know how we roll. From the first hot take to the final goal. From the dog pound roar to the hardwood floor. We break it all down, then Hardcast Sports Show, we locked in. Talking every dub, every loss, every top win. You ran with the squad, now it's time that we go. Thanks for watching, that's the Cleveland Hardcast Sports Show.